Rain lashed against the stage lights like shards of glass when the power went out. For a split second, the world drowned in darkness. No sound, no light, no music. Then came the scream. Jungkook. Behind you. The voice, hoarse, desperate, belonged to SUGA. Before Jungkook could turn, an explosion of sparks burst from the left side of the stage, lighting the arena in a flickering red haze. Fans shrieked. Camera flashes stuttered through the chaos. And in that chaos, SUGA's hand grabbed Jungkook's arm and yanked him down just as a burning light rig crashed onto the spot where he'd been standing. For a moment, everything was motionless. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat as he stared at SUGA, whose black hoodie was now dusted with ash, eyes wide and wild. The audience's screams melted into an eerie hum of confusion and panic, and somewhere in the distance, someone shouted for security. "Hyung, what's happening?" Jungkook's voice trembled, more from shock than fear. But SUGA didn't answer. His gaze darted to the wings of the stage, scanning the shadows as if expecting something, or someone, to emerge. "They found us," he murmured. The words hit Jungkook like a physical blow. "Found us? Who?" Before he could ask again, SUGA pulled him up and guided him off stage, weaving through terrified staff and fallen equipment. The rain outside was merciless, drumming against the metal of the emergency exit as they burst through it. The night air was cold and metallic, carrying the scent of smoke and ozone. Behind them, sirens began to wail, blending with the muffled roar of the crowd still trapped inside. Jungkook looked back at the arena, once alive with lights, now swallowed by blackness. "Hyung," he said, chest heaving. "You knew this would happen." SUGA's expression hardened. "I hoped it wouldn't." They ran through the narrow alley behind the venue, puddles splashing under their boots. Every sound, footsteps, thunder, distant shouting, felt amplified, heavy with meaning. Jungkook's mind raced with questions, but SUGA's silence was unyielding. He looked like a man at war with himself. When they finally stopped under a flickering streetlight, Jungkook grabbed his arm. "Talk to me. What are we running from?" SUGA met his gaze, rain dripping down his pale face. "From the truth, Jungkook. The one I buried 10 years ago." The streetlight buzzed and went out. Darkness again. A car engine roared to life somewhere nearby. Jungkook turned toward the sound, but before he could see anything, a flash of headlights blinded him, and SUGA shoved him aside. Just as a black SUV screeched past where they had stood, Jungkook hit the ground hard, scraping his palms. The car didn't stop. It vanished into the storm, leaving behind only the acrid smell of burnt rubber. SUGA stood motionless, breathing hard, his right hand clutching a silver pendant that gleamed faintly under the lightning. Jungkook recognized it. The old pendant SUGA never took off. He'd seen it countless times in backstage dressing rooms, never knowing what it meant. Tonight, it looked different, alive somehow, as if pulsing faintly with light. "What is that?" Jungkook asked. SUGA looked at him, and for the first time, Jungkook saw fear in his eyes. Real fear. "It's what they're after." The rain intensified, drumming between them like 1,000 unspoken words. "You said they. Who are they, Hyung?" Jungkook pressed. SUGA hesitated, his jaw tightening. "People who believe this pendant shouldn't exist, and they'll do anything to destroy it, and me along with it." Lightning tore across the sky, illuminating SUGA's face, the exhaustion, the fury, and something else buried deep. Guilt. 10 years ago, he whispered, someone died because of me. And tonight, they came back to finish what I started. Jungkook stared at him, rain and disbelief blurring together. He didn't know whether to run, to demand answers, or to stay. SUGA turned away, his voice low and certain. "If you stay with me, Jungkook, you'll never be safe again." But Jungkook didn't move. Because in that single moment, amid the thunder, the chaos, the rain, he realized something impossible. No matter how dangerous this secret was, he couldn't walk away. The storm howled around them, swallowing their silence. And somewhere beyond the noise, beneath the city's restless hum, something ancient had awakened, something that had waited a decade for this night to come. The rain hadn't let up by dawn. It came in waves, soaking the deserted streets as Jungkook ran with the pendant clutched to his chest. His body trembled from exhaustion and cold, but his mind was louder, replaying SUGA's final words, the flash of light, the sound that silenced everything. He ducked under an awning, panting hard. His breath fogged in the chill. Around him, the city was waking, unaware of what had happened in the warehouse just hours before. The concert was already on every news channel. Electrical failure causes chaos at BTS show, but none of them mentioned the gunfire. None of them mentioned SUGA. Jungkook's hands shook as he pulled the pendant from under his shirt. The silver gleam was muted now, but when he pressed his thumb against it, he swore he felt it pulse. Once, twice, like a faint heartbeat, he whispered, "Hyung, what did you leave me with?" The sound that answered wasn't real, not exactly. It was faint, more like an echo in his mind. Jungkook, run. He froze, heart stuttering. He turned around, but there was no one there. Only the hiss of rain and the hum of a flickering streetlight. "Am I going insane?" he muttered, and no answer. But the pendant was warm now. He shoved it back into his pocket and slipped into an alley. He needed to find Haejin. The name felt foreign on his tongue, yet heavy with importance. Whoever she was, SUGA had trusted her more than anyone else. That meant she was either the key to saving him, or the reason he'd fallen into this nightmare in the first place. That BY afternoon, Jungkook found himself at a crumbling apartment complex near the Han River. The door to Unit 7B was half open. He hesitated, listening. The faint sound of a piano reached his ears, soft, melancholic, almost identical to SUGA's style. He pushed the door open. A woman sat in front of an upright piano, her fingers hovering above the keys. Her hair was black and cropped short, streaked with silver strands. When she turned, her expression didn't change. No surprise, no fear, just quiet recognition. "You're late," she said. Her voice was calm, melodic, but her eyes were sharp. "I thought he'd send you sooner." Jungkook stared. "You're Haejin." She nodded, rising slowly. "And you must be the one he couldn't stop talking about." Jungkook's voice broke. "He's gone." For the first time, her eyes softened. "No, Jungkook. Not gone. Not yet." He frowned. "What are you talking about?" She gestured for him to sit. The apartment was cluttered with cables, old instruments, and monitors displaying moving waveforms. SUGA wasn't just part of the Glass Moon project. He was the project. His neural patterns were recorded, mapped through sound. When he activated the pendant, he didn't destroy himself. He transferred his consciousness. Jungkook's pulse raced. "You mean he's inside this?" He pulled out the pendant. Haejin nodded slowly. "A fragment of him, yes. The music you hear, the voice, it's him, resonating through frequency." He stared at the pendant, his chest tightening. "He's alive." "Alive is a complicated word," she said. "His mind exists as data, an echo that can respond, think, even remember. But every time it interacts with you, it consumes energy. If you keep using it," her gaze darkened, "he'll fade completely." Jungkook's hands went cold. "So if I talk to him, I lose him?" "Yes. And if you don't, he remains trapped forever in silence." The weight of that choice pressed on him like the storm outside. He thought of SUGA's smile, the quiet comfort of his presence, the countless nights they'd spent in studios chasing songs that could reach hearts. To let him fade felt like betrayal, but to keep him here, locked in an endless hum, felt cruel. Before Jungkook could speak, the sound of static filled the room. Every monitor flickered. Haejin spun toward them, muttering, "No, not now." The screen shifted into distorted text. A single line flashed again and again. "Echo protocol. Reinitialized." Haejin's face drained of color. "They found us." Jungkook stood, adrenaline burning away his grief. "Who?" "The Institute," she said, voice trembling now. "The ones who revived the project. They're trying to extract the data from the pendant remotely. What happens if they do? They'll erase him and use the resonance to control millions." Without thinking, Jungkook grabbed the pendant and clenched it in his fist. "Then they'll have to go through me first." Haejin looked at him, truly looked, and for a brief moment, her expression flickered with something like pride. "You sound like him," she whispered. The lights went out. A crash came from the stairwell below. Boots pounding up the steps, men shouting orders. Jungkook turned to Haejin, panic rising. "Is there another way out?" She nodded toward the back. "Fire escape. Go." They ran. The apartment shuddered as someone kicked the front door open. Bullets tore through the walls. Jungkook ducked behind a shelf, covering Haejin as splinters rained down. "Jungkook." The voice came from the pendant again, stronger this time, urgent. "Don't let them touch it." He pressed the pendant to his chest. "Hyung, I won't." Haejin threw open the window, and cold air flooded in. "Go. I'll hold them off." "What?" "No." Jungkook reached for her, but she shoved him toward the fire escape. "Find the studio beneath the river tunnel," she said. "That's where he left the final recording. It's the only thing they can't erase." The door burst open behind her. Jungkook didn't wait. He climbed down into the rain, his heart pounding with every step. Above him, gunfire erupted. He didn't look back. The streets blurred beneath his feet as he ran, lightning flashing overhead. The pendant grew warmer, pulsing faster, guiding him toward the river's edge. When he finally reached the old underpass, he heard it again. A melody, faint but unmistakable. A piano, playing somewhere in the dark. That's SUGA's melody. Jungkook stepped into the tunnel, following the sound that only he could hear. His reflection rippled in the shallow water, the pendant glowing softly against his chest. The echo of his own footsteps blended with the haunting music. And for a fleeting moment, Jungkook wasn't sure if he was chasing SUGA's memory or if the memory was calling him closer. The tunnel was a wound in the city's veins, pulsing faintly with the sound of dripping water and something else. Music, distant and hollow. Jungkook's footsteps echoed against the slick concrete, the pendant at his neck glowing with a rhythmic pulse. As if keeping time with the melody only he could hear it, he walked deeper, guided by instinct more than reason. The storm above was muffled here. Only the low hum of the river seeped through the cracks. Each note that floated through the darkness felt alive, familiar, aching, and undeniably SUGA. Hyung, Jungkook whispered into the shadows. Is it really you? The pendant vibrated softly, and for a moment, he heard a faint voice carried through the reverb of the tunnel. You found it. Jungkook froze. SUGA, keep going, the voice said, clearer this time. The studio's ahead. They hid everything there. The real composition, the one I never finished. He swallowed hard and pressed forward. The air grew colder. Pipes rattled overhead. Somewhere behind him, a drop of water hit the concrete with an echo that sounded too deliberate to be natural. He wasn't alone. Jungkook quickened his pace. The tunnel widened into a cavern lit by the faint blue of old studio monitors, long abandoned. Cables hung from the ceiling like vines, and a cracked piano stood at the center of the room, half submerged in shallow water. He stepped closer, running his fingers across the warped keys. The instant he touched them, the monitors flickered to life, showing fragments of sound waves and video logs. One of them blinked with a name. Min Young-yi, Session 07. Jungkook pressed play. Static filled the air, followed by SUGA's voice, quiet, tired, but unmistakable. If someone finds this, it means the project has resurfaced. The glass moon wasn't designed to control people. It was meant to heal them. But they corrupted it. They turned music into a weapon. Jungkook's throat tightened. On screen, SUGA stared into the camera, eyes heavy. The pendant holds the original frequency, the resonance code. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could trigger mass hysteria. But if it reaches the right heart, he looked down, almost smiling. It could rewrite pain into peace. The recording cut off. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, faintly, the piano in front of him played a single note. Jungkook turned sharply, but no one was there. The pendant grew warmer. The note became a chord, then a phrase. He recognized it instantly, the melody they'd written together years ago but never finished. His hand trembled as he sat at the piano. You want me to play it? He whispered. Finish it, came the faint reply inside his mind. You're the only one who can. He pressed the keys, hesitant at first. The sound wavered, hollow from years of decay, but as the melody grew, the pendant began to hum, resonating with each note. The light from the monitors danced to the rhythm, waves of color rippling across the water, and then something shifted. The air itself vibrated. The tunnel trembled as the frequencies intertwined, merging SUGA's resonance with Jungkook's voice. He began to sing, not lyrics, but pure tone, instinctive, wordless. The pendant pulsed brighter and brighter, its light reflecting on the tunnel walls like liquid moonlight. Suddenly, the hum turned into static. The monitors flickered again, this time showing faces, dozens of them. Scientists, soldiers, men in black suits, and one familiar face that made Jungkook's blood run cold. Haejin, but her eyes were different, harder, colder. Subject Young-yi's neural data has been reactivated, she said to someone off-screen. Proceed with synchronization. No, Jungkook whispered. That's not possible. She helped me. It's not her now, SUGA's voice warned. They took control of her mind. The project is inside her. A deep hum filled the chamber. The water around Jungkook rippled violently as the lights above flickered. From the far end of the tunnel, shapes emerged, figures in black uniforms, moving in perfect rhythm, like puppets synchronized to an unseen conductor. Hyung, Jungkook gasped. What do I do? The song, SUGA's voice urged. Use the frequency, the one we built together. It's the only way to break their link. Jungkook's fingers slammed the keys, his heart sinking to the rhythm. The music swelled, echoing off the stone walls. The soldiers hesitated mid-step, their faces twitching as if fighting something invisible. He closed his eyes and sang. His voice soared, trembling with every ounce of grief, fear, and love he'd carried since that night. The pendant shone with blinding light, and in it he saw fleeting images, SUGA smiling at a piano, their first concert, the laughter they'd shared. Then came a sound like shattering glass. The soldiers dropped, unconscious. The monitors went black. Silence filled the tunnel again. Jungkook slumped over the piano, gasping. His hands shook violently. The pendant, now dim again, lay against his chest, hot to the touch. "Hyung," he whispered. "Did it work?" There was no reply. Just the soft trickle of water and the distant thunder above. Then, faintly, from somewhere deep in the pendant, came a whisper, so soft it could have been imagined. "You did well, Jungkook." He exhaled shakily, tears mixing with the rainwater dripping from the ceiling. But before he could rest, the monitors blinked back to life. One by one, lines of text appeared on the screen, glowing red. Resonance code. Transfer complete. Target synchronized. Jungkook John. His blood ran cold. The pendant flared, searing against his skin. He tore it from his neck, but it was too late. The light enveloped him completely, swallowing the tunnel in a flash of blinding white. And somewhere far above, under the rain-soaked sky of Seoul, a new frequency began to play. Soft, magnetic, and heartbreakingly familiar. The glass moon was singing again. When Jungkook opened his eyes, the world was no longer dark. It was alive. The ceiling above him shimmered faintly, as though breathing. Every sound, dripping water, distant thunder, even his own heartbeat, carried color. Red, blue, gold. It was as if the entire world had become a symphony, visible and vibrating. He sat up slowly, disoriented. The tunnel was gone. The piano, the monitors, gone. He was in an empty warehouse, flooded by a cold, silver light that seemed to come from nowhere. Then he realized the glow wasn't from the room. It was from him. His hands shimmered faintly, each movement leaving a ripple in the air like heat distortion. The pendant lay a few feet away, dark and cracked, smoke curling from its center. What happened?" he whispered. And then he heard it. Not from outside. From within. SUGA's voice. "You absorbed it." Jungkook froze. "Hyung." "The frequency, the resonance code. It's inside you now." Jungkook pressed his hands to his chest. "That can't be. How?" "The transfer completed when you sang. Your body harmonized with the code. You've become the vessel." His breath hitched. "You mean I'm carrying the glass moon?" "Yes." He rose shakily to his feet, the air around him vibrating with faint echoes of piano notes. Every emotion, fear, sorrow, confusion, seemed to ripple outward, distorting the light around him. He looked down at his reflection in a puddle on the concrete floor. His eyes were faintly glowing silver. "What am I supposed to do with this?" Before SUGA could answer, a low rumble cut through the air. The warehouse doors groaned open, and several figures entered, soldiers dressed in matte black, faces hidden behind visors. Jungkook's instincts kicked in. He ran. The first shot missed his shoulder by inches, ricocheting off a steel beam. The sound triggered something inside him. The world slowed. The hum in his veins sharpened. He turned his head just as another bullet fired. And without thinking, he sang. The note tore through the air like a blade. The sound wave rippled outward, bending metal, cracking concrete. The soldiers flew backward, weapons clattering across the floor. Jungkook staggered, gasping. "What was that?" "The code responds to your voice," SUGA said. "But be careful. Every time you use it, it drains you and strengthens the signal they can track. Then they already know where I am," Jungkook muttered. "Then you keep moving." He sprinted toward the exit. The city hit him like a rush of neon and noise. Cars, sirens, people shouting, each sound a vibration in his chest. He could feel them all, like threads connecting him to the city's pulse. But beneath it all, something else stirred, a low, distant hum that wasn't his. It was colder, deeper. It felt like the glass moon answering him. He found a narrow alley and leaned against the wall, trembling. "Hyung," he whispered, "if this thing is inside me, they'll never stop hunting me." "Then we end it," SUGA said. "At the source." "What source?" "The origin chamber. The first glass moon generator. It's buried beneath the old broadcasting tower. That's where they began it all." Jungkook looked out at the skyline. Lightning forked across the clouds, illuminating the tower in the distance. Tall, black, and humming faintly. He clenched his fists. "Then that's where we finish it. You'll need help. I don't trust anyone." "You don't have to. But someone's already looking for you." Before Jungkook could ask who, his phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a message from an unknown number. "Haejin. If you can still hear him, you're not lost yet. Meet me where the river splits." Midnight. His grip tightened around the phone. Heijin was alive. But was she the same woman, or the one Suga warned him about? You have to find out, Suga's voice murmured. But remember, she may not be who she was. The storm broke again, rain slashing through the neon haze. Jungkook stepped out into it, pulling up his hood. The city's noise swelled, harmonizing with the faint resonance inside his chest. As he walked toward the river, the hum grew stronger, weaving itself into his heartbeat. Each raindrop felt like a note in a song only he and Suga could hear. A requiem and a rebirth. By the time he reached the bridge, the city lights reflected off the water like scattered fragments of the moon. Midnight was close. He stood there, drenched, the pendant's shattered shell clenched in his hand. And when he looked up, he saw her, Heijin, standing across the bridge, her coat whipping in the wind, eyes glowing faintly with the same silver light now flickering in his own. Jungkook, she said softly, her voice echoing through the storm. You shouldn't have survived the transfer. The rain seemed to still between them. The river roared beneath their feet. Jungkook stared back, every instinct screaming that this meeting would decide everything. Heijin, he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his heart. Tell me the truth. Did you save me? Or did you create me? Her lips parted, the answer trembling in her throat. But before she could speak, the city lights around them flickered and died. The world fell silent, and from deep below the streets, a new frequency rose, a sound so beautiful, so terrible, that it made the glass moonlight above them shatter.